Thank you for joining me in song, and thank you for being here today. It is absolutely a joy to come together. And I'm going to set this one down. I'll actually turn it off when I'm not singing. Don't turn it off. Okay. Then I won't set it down either. Just want to make sure that you're hearing me in the best way possible. So, some of the most rewarding work I've ever done has been working with teens to help them establish student to student mentoring programs in their schools. And I had the opportunity to meet with kids all over the country and train them to meet with their incoming class to lead activities that led to an experience that always had a lesson embedded in it. An example of that is having each student hold a playing card to their forehead. No one knew what their own card held, but the instructions were for them to act in a way that would help one another guess their own card. It was fascinating to see them acting as they would bow to royalty, or as they would scoff or pretend to be disgusted by somebody that was holding a 2 or a 3. They had fun guessing what their card was, and then the group would debrief. The mentors and mentees discussed how it felt to be a 2 or a 3, or to be a king or a queen, and even how the 5 through 8s felt completely overlooked altogether. Isn't that interesting? Nobody really knew how to demonstrate average, and yet that was the largest group of all. The lesson always turned into a culture shaping opportunity. And when the students all talked about how this played out in their everyday lives of their fellow students, they would brainstorm, what could we do to actually make people feel special? And inevitably, they'd come up with things like, let's make locker signs, or let's spontaneously sing to an individual and make them feel good. And they came up with ideas I never would have dreamed of. And they extended it, it spilled over into how they could treat faculty and teachers and all of the staff. And I tell you this because one of my favorite workshops I did with students is called Celebrate What's Right with the World. There was an amazing National Geographic photographer who created a workshop all about this. And the reason I wanted to share this is because there are 7 principles, and these played out in almost all of the lessons. So imagine what started out to be angry teenagers, bitter with how they were treated and tending to treat people the same way, learning how to do things differently. So the first of those principles is believe it and you'll see it. If we had set out to get them to treat one another with respect, if we'd asked them to make their incoming class of freshmen feel special, what do you think the results would have been? That question was actually part of the debrief as well. What would it normally have been if we just told you to be nice to one another? And this is what we heard. Before I was a mentor, I wanted to make the freshmen feel like I felt. And several said they were pennied and thrown in trash cans and called stupid freshmen. Do you know what it means to be pennied? It means that in the halls, they're going to whip pennies at you as hard as they possibly can, and that hurts. I didn't know what penny meant either until they described that to me. And that kind of treatment is really intimidating for a student, especially a student who's going into the huge high school on the lowest rung of the totem pole. They said, the natural tendency would be for me to treat them that way, as if it was some rite of passage. But then, with the experience they had with the card activity, they wanted to do it differently. They decided their class would be the one to change things for the entire school. They wanted to create a legacy. They could not have imagined the kind of complete shift in school culture until they believed it was possible. And then once they did, they would settle for nothing less. They knew that within 4 years, there wouldn't be a student who had experienced the old way. There wouldn't even be a memory of what it used to feel like. And so they committed to continue this mentoring program until every single student had been mentored and had had experiences of support in an amazing culture. There were monthly meetings when the freshmen and mentors met to do these experiential lessons. So before we go into the other principles, I want to ask you this. What is going on in your own life that you would like to have be completely different? What shows up for you when you have thoughts that this could never change? Or it's always been like this? Or this seems hopeless? Because until you can imagine it another way, you can't form new beliefs. We can't experience something that we haven't given thought to first. So the first principle is believe it, and then you'll see it. But what is a belief if it's not a thought, and a thought that you think over and over and over again? And when you think about over and over and over again, it becomes possible. It becomes a new belief. The second lesson is the one that we all know well as Unitics. We understand the power of gratitude. So number 2 is to recognize abundance. When we're working to create change by changing our beliefs, finding things for which we are already grateful trains the mind to look for more. And when you look for more, you will see more for which to be grateful. So where in your life are you most appreciative? And where in your life might it be a good thing to look for good, to find something to appreciate? Because when you look, you'll find at least something. And that something has been there, but it has been unrecognized. Not because it was unrecognizable, but because we weren't looking. That's recognizing abundance. There is good to be found all around us. The third principle is to look for possibilities. When the students were popcorning all of these new ideas to make people feel special and seen and appreciated, they surprised even themselves. They had frequent meetings to lay out who was going to do what each week. And they started by sharing the stories of people's reactions when they were doing good. And that fed their motivation to find more and more good things to do. It was in this coming together to share good news that they opened their eyes. That helped them be vigilant about observing. They shared that before they would just go about their business. But now that they were having this lens, they saw more and more good. Not only because they were intentionally creating it, but because they knew they'd be coming together to share stories, and they were constantly now on the lookout. Can you imagine how this shifted their own experience of school? They were just looking for good everywhere. What good news could you share about your life that would raise the energy of people around you? And if you started to notice more good things, what else might that shift? What in your life could use some more possibility thinking? Next is to unleash your energy to fix what's wrong. I love this one because everything is energy. When I work with coaching clients and we're breaking through belief barriers, there's always like a light bulb moment when they see an emotional attachment that's been binding their energy. The more they retrained themselves to positive thinking, the more they shifted their mindset and the more liberated they felt, lighter, without being attached to the heaviness. They had more energy. I've been practicing these principles for years, and it never ceases to amaze me when I see how things play out in my own life. For example, I was actually driving to the church today, and I came behind this slow driver. And I just recognized my subtle impatience. And I started to sing, I would like it if you would go faster. I would like it if you would go faster. And I cracked myself up. I started to totally laugh out loud, which absolutely shifted my energy. And it shifted my attention. I was thinking about how fun that was that I was singing to myself. And I took my attention off of what was frustrating me. And guess what? He went faster. I'm not kidding you. So we are changing our beliefs. We're recognizing abundance. We're looking for possibilities. We're unleashing our energy to fix what's wrong. And then we want to ride the changes. Possibility thinking, positive thinking, putting your attention on something good and finding good everywhere is not suggesting that bad things don't happen or that you don't have things that need fixing. It simply means you're committed to being more positive and expanding that in an intentional way, looking for things that can help you stay in your peace when you're not feeling good, when you're knocked off your feet, when things are troubling. Just looking for things that can help you stay in your peace. And then knowing on some level that this too shall pass, writing those changes. It's just another wave. It's just another cycle. And it's as reliable as breathing that it will change, that this too shall pass, that this cannot last forever. Every contraction is followed by an expansion. And I know when I'm in a funk or I'm feeling like I need an answer and I wonder, is this the direction I should go in? I do look for what I would call a spiritual sign. And a spiritual sign that has always represented validation to me is a hawk. In fact, when I first realized that hawk was my signal that I'm on the right track, I started seeing hawks everywhere. And I shared with my husband, man, I must be in the zone. I am seeing hawks everywhere. And he said, honey, we live in Michigan. I was like, don't you rain on my parade. But I have to tell you, I said, okay, hawk, if you're really my validation signal, I want you to show me a little more directly. Not just that I'm seeing a Michigan hawk, but I want you to fly right over my head. I'm not lying. Hawks would change direction, fly right over my head. And I said, okay, you don't need to do that anymore. I really do. That is just so powerful. And it does to me represent, okay, this is the direction. I'm hearing it's resonating with me. And now I have this proof, this validation. And so today, on my way to church, a hawk flew right in front of my car. Like so fully flipped its wings. I could just see everything about my friend, this hawk. I love the way it shows up every time. The sixth principle is to take yourself to the edge. What would you do if you knew you could not fail? What would you change if you were fearless? What step can you take this coming week for you to be able to step into your power and take yourself to the edge, and then to the next edge, and then to the next? Because this is why you're here, to keep expanding and growing into the next best version of the you want to be. This played out in my life, this taking myself to the edge recently, because I had a job that I love. I'm a personal brand strategist, I'm a coach, but I was looking to start my own business, not with somebody else. And I thought it was going to look a certain way. And suddenly I got an email asking if I would run a training. And I thought, my first reaction was, oh, no, I'm not a trainer. And I was like, well, why not? I could certainly do that. I have the skill set to do exactly what you need. And so I created this training and I delivered it. And I can't tell you the feeling of just saying yes, having no idea how it was going to look. And so one of the things I want to do is to always challenge myself to step into my power. And there are so many tools that help me do this well. One of them is to sing songs like I did when I said, like it if you would go faster. It's just my go-to thing to sing. And so I ran across this song by Sia, and the chorus just rocks. So on my way to deliver my first training, I would sing this over and over and over. It goes, I'm unstoppable. I'm a Porsche with no brakes. I'm invincible. I win every single game. I'm so powerful. I don't need batteries to play. I'm so confident. I'm unstoppable today. Unstoppable today. Oh, I was driving, I'm sorry. So imagine how pumped up you are when you're singing a song like that. What can you have in your back pocket? What can be your go-to thing to pump you up and help you take yourself to the edge? And the seventh principle is to be your best for the world. When you're focused on service, it's hard to be nervous. One of the things that I pray every time I'm going to speak or work with a coach is something that I learned from a very avid student of A Course in Miracles. And so I say this to myself, I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent Him who sent me. I don't have to worry about what to say or what to do, for He who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever He wants me to be, knowing He is here with me. I am healed as I let Him teach me to heal. Imagine stepping out of what you know into the unknown, pumping yourself up in whatever way you need to, and then realizing there really is no should, there is no right way to do it. You're going to find your way. So I want you to make a list of all the skills and gifts and talents, and I want you to keep it in your wallet. I want you to pull it out and remind yourself what an amazing human you are and how good you are for the world. Believe it, and you'll see it. Recognize abundance. Look for possibilities. Unleash your energy to fix what's wrong. Ride the changes. Take yourself to the edge and be your best for the world. Thank you.